Who did Papua New Guinea become independent from? Spain. No. Sorry. Spain's claims to Papua New Guinea were extinguished in 1884. Yeah. Closer. Yeah. It's the Australians. Imagine being taken over by the Australians. Yeah. Yeah. So rugby is big. A lot of people in the Highlands, they like the brimmed hats with the crocodile teeth. Australia is a great place. I love it. I have many friends who teach there. But a lot of the things that we think of as Australian culture there, they think of as like white culture or the culture of governance. If you guys have ever been to the zoo? All right, thank you. Probably, take a look at this. All right. Up in the upper top of this flag, what is that image there? It's the bird. What is this bird? Yes, good. You can read. What are these? They are birds. Yes, advanced. These are birds of paradise. They are some of the most amazing birds on the planet. They're national birds of Papua New Guinea. So this one on the left in the language that I have learned in PNG is called Ekapaluma. And it's got, those are not its wings. It just has these iridescent blue false wings on the front that it will show off when it's selecting or displaying. And then the King Saxony bird of paradise down in the lower right-hand side there. It's got the huge wires coming out of its head with the little things there. So one of the things to remember about Papua New Guinea is that it's got incredible biodiversity. There are people at UH who their goal is to make a list of every frog in the world, and every time they go to Papua New Guinea, they just add 25 more. The amount of biodiversity on the planet is huge. It's an island, and it's large, so biogeographically speaking, it's perfect for finding new things. They got bowerbirds that make buildings. I should show you guys in the future, if I'm back, I'll show you guys pictures of cassowaries. Have you guys ever seen cassowaries? Giant killer ostriches. Yeah. Yeah. So here's a map of PNG, as I'm sure you guys know or will know soon when you come to Manoa and take our Pacific Islands culture class. We are living in Polynesia right now. Polynesia is the culture area that's defined by Rapa Nui, New Zealand, and Hawaii. The Polynesian Triangle. The Polynesian Triangle. Samoa, Tonga, French Polynesia. That's the Pacific that we're used to. But we're also pretty used here. We're pretty familiar with Micronesia because of the U.S.'s long history of engagement, shall we say, with Micronesia, and the presence of a large Micronesian diaspora in Honolulu. We have Micronesians. You see them all over the place. But we do not have a lot of Melanesians here, and Papua New Guinea is part of Melanesia. So it's a very different area. It's a very different experience. Here is, talk about water. The Papua New Guinea, the island of New Guinea, is a huge mountain that has just been eroded away, and most of the north and south coasts are just huge, huge swamps. And I'm a world expert in Papua New Guinea, I guess, so I will tell you that the line that separates, so the island is called New Guinea. The independent state of Papua New Guinea on, I guess what you call that, our right, Papua New Guinea, is an independent country. The left-hand side is part of Indonesia. And that line down the middle, you guys have ever noticed in Latin America how Brazil is Portuguese and everyone else speaks Spanish? It's because in 1494, the Pope drew a line around the world saying which side belonged to Spain and which side belonged to Portugal. And that's the Treaty of Tordesillas. Then, if you draw that line that cuts off Portugal from the rest of Latin America, and you follow it all the way around the globe, this is that line. So the decision to divide up the New World and who gets the Spice Islands actually ended up cutting right through Papua New Guinea and has affected colonial history today. Yes, Papua New Guinea the independent state of Papua New Guinea was divided in 1884. The south was British, the north was German. Then in 1914, doing their patriotic duty, the Australians took over the original side. The German side, they were in charge of both of them, and then became independent in 1975. The Treaty of Tordesillas? Yeah. Sillas. So the Treaty of Tordesillas was 1494, I think. There was a papal bull a year earlier. And then that line was extended to the other half of the globe in the Treaty of Saragossa, which was 1523. So see, my PhD did come in good for something. You can remember all treaties that you can easily Google. So here is the independent state of Papua New Guinea. I worked in Enga province in the highlands. So Papua New Guinea is right at the equator, but if you go to the top of the mountains, there are glaciers from the last ice age sitting up there. That's how huge the mountains are. They will not be up there much longer. I hope you guys get a chance to go see them. But there are huge, huge mountains in the middle of the country. I was working about 2,300 kilometers, like 7,000, 8,000 feet above sea level. It's kind of like being on the Big Island. Yeah, really, really high up. So it gets very cold. I was cold and wet the entire time I was there. Oh my God, it's so cold up there. The one thing I always leave every time I go up there is a sleeping bag. People are so grateful. So I got 4 or 5 basic facts for you guys to remember about Papua New Guinea, all right? First one, it is big. You don't have to remember how many miles it is, but it is huge. This place is huge. It is about the size of California. It's actually bigger than California. So not you, but many people, when they think Pacific Island countries, they think coral atolls, they usually don't think coral atolls, they think like Hula Girl or something. But they think small islands in a sea, but in fact, Papua New Guinea is huge. Look at this compared to Tonga. Yeah, it's huge. It's the size of France. It's bigger than it's bigger than European countries, all other European countries. Yeah, way, dog. It's legit bigger, bro. No, it's not bigger than Russia. It's not bigger than Russia, the Ukraine, and France. You know how I know that? It says up there in huge letters. All right. It's also incredibly populous. Yeah. So there are 8 million people in Papua New Guinea. 8 times bigger than Honolulu. And it's bigger, it has a larger population than New Zealand. As a matter of fact, you can take the population of every Pacific island, and then the diaspora, like Samoa, and then all the Samoans who live in San Francisco, and put them all in Papua New Guinea, and it would not equal the amount of population in PNG. So Papua New Guinea is a big and very, very populous place. It's not a small island. Yeah. It's also a place that's been, I will tell you right now, it is a place that is connected through trade and travel. The number one thing you hear about Papua New Guinea that is not true is that it's full of isolated tribes. That is just anyone who, I want to say anyone who's ever been there knows that that's not true, but in fact, there are a lot of people who have been there who say that. Papua New Guineans are connected to one another. There are no sharp boundaries between groups. There's just a continuous flow of population between groups. There's a lot of wilderness. There's a lot of people who live in relatively remote locations, but they are all connected by trade routes that span the island. And I will just go back briefly and show you. All of those rivers, people have been going up and down those rivers for a long, long time, 40,000 years. Yeah. So people would trade valuables. Shells are a big source of value. Maybe we'll talk about Kula next year. Pigs are a big source of value. So in the highlands where I work, for any major life event, there's pigs. If you get married, if you get married, then your husband to-be has to give your family pigs. Like maybe a dozen pigs and $2,000-$3,000. If you kill someone, you have to pay back in pigs, like 200 pigs and maybe $7,000. Yeah, you have to pay their relatives. So pigs are central to life there. Yeah, you guys laugh. You know why? Because you can eat meat every day without slaughtering it or growing it. But for people who do actually want protein, they have to get it the old-fashioned way, which is by killing something that you spent years raising and then eating it. And I don't know if any of you here, I'm not talking chickens. Not small things, big things. I don't know if you guys have ever had to kill a mammal, that cut it up, yeah. And then, yes, well, and yet they still let you work here even after that unfortunate experience. It is a big deal. Pigs are very valuable. They're a source of wealth. So Papua New Guineans are connected by language and trade. And this isolated language, you guys, somebody's told you isolated tribes, I bet, in the course of learning about Papua New Guinea. Yeah, this has more to do with Western fantasies of finding primitive, savage people than it does with any reality on the ground. Yeah, Papua New Guinea is also a very diverse place. People have been coming and going from Papua New Guinea for 40,000 years. So you get people who are very, very darkly complected. The guy in the upper right is from Bougainville, which is an area of the world which gets the most ultraviolet radiation on the planet. So people over there are very darkly complected. The guy at the bottom is Puka Temu. He's the deputy prime minister for the country. Puka comes from Central Province. Guy's name is Puka, right? The word for canoe over there is baka. Like, they speak a language that's very, very similar to Hawaiian. It's an Austronesian, what we call an Austronesian culture. So people there look like they could be from Samoa, Tonga, or even here. Then you get people like the woman on the left is from the Trobes. She's Trobriand Island. She's dressed in traditional Trobriand adornment. And you can see that, like, what she could be Mexican, she could be anything, you know. So there's a huge diversity of people inside of PNG. So it's a little hard to stereotype in terms of one particular look or ethnicity. PNG is also very old. What is that? It's an axe. Yeah. I don't know if you have ever tried to cut down a tree. Has anyone here ever tried to cut down a tree with a steel axe? It's not fun, is it? No, it sucks. Doing it with the stone axe is even worse. You don't actually cut the tree, you just kind of like bruise the tree, and then you just have to keep on doing that. So stone axes from PNG have been found going back tens of thousands of years. There's two evidence at Cook World Heritage Site. Papua New Guinea, about 20,000 years ago, might have been one of the first places in the world where agriculture was discovered and practiced. So this is the birth of agriculture. It's the birthplace of sugarcane. Papua New Guinea is where sugarcane comes from. Yeah, so Papua New Guinea has a deep, deep, deep history. Polynesia, like where we are here, has been relatively recently colonized by humans compared to PNG. Now I gotta ask you guys, I came here to Midpack today. We're in Hawaii. All you guys, you're all wearing shirts. And you're not, where's your like little green leaves? How come you guys aren't dressed up like hula dancers? Ladies, I was expecting you guys to be like wearing grass skirts. I thought everybody in Hawaii dressed like this. Why aren't you guys dressed that way? Why aren't you guys dressed that way? Yeah. It's an offensive tourist stereotype, right? Yeah, you guys do not actually dress like this all the time. Most of the time you just dress like normal people. That's not to say that you don't have traditions that you're proud of, and that this is from Mary Monarch. Like, you guys have traditions that you're proud of, what you do sometimes, and that people sometimes come and see, but you do not dress like this all the time, right? All right. Do these guys dress like this all the time? No, because they're human beings like you. Would you, I mean, this actually, for one thing, I'll say one thing, it takes a lot of time to get dressed up like this. It takes hours and hours. Yeah. Here's another one. Yeah. Yeah, these guys are from Enga, and then these guys are from Tari. Look at what's through this guy's nose. It's the bird of paradise. And then look at what's on his forehead. You see the blue part? Yeah, that's from the bird of paradise. So adornment is a central part of Papua New Guinea. You will see people adorned like this all the time. But I will tell you something, people do not walk around like this all the time. The same way you do not walk around like you're on your way to go do a show in Waikiki, or you're going to go to your halau. People do not dress like this all the time. So do you know how you get the birds of paradise through your nose like that? Pierce your nose, that's right. And yeah, it just takes a really sharp piece of wood and a lot of fire. Yeah, it's painful. Yeah, people don't have pierced noses very much the way they used to. Now, the other thing I'll tell you about these guys, what are they wearing on their head? Feathers. They're wearing sickle-bill feathers on the top of their heads. But what are those big black things? Woven. Woven. That's an adjective. Noun. Those are wigs. And you know what the wigs are made out of? Hair, human hair. Those wigs are made out of their own hair. So, a central, and these guys here, you cannot see quite as much, but they're also wearing wigs made out of their own hair. So, a central part of the customary initiation rites, which people don't really practice that much anymore, but which are still used to make these wigs, is you grow your hair out. They take all the boys away when they're about 8. You take them out into the forest, build a special house for them. They grow their hair really big. They put their, they force the kids to put the boys to put their eyes, they put their heads underneath a waterfall, and then they open their eyes, and then all of the polluting sight of women is washed away, so they have only man vision. And then they make wigs out of their own hair, and then they become men. Yeah. So it could be worse. There are other initiations. Have you guys seen any of the pictures of guys who cut their backs to look like crocodiles? No, there are a lot worse ways to get things. This is what people in Papua New Guinea look like most of the time. Not this, and not this, but this. Okay? Or this guy right here. Or these guys right here hanging out in the back of the pickup truck. You can tell these people are Highlanders. Or this guy right here. You can tell this guy's from the coast. He's got the look. I don't know how to describe it. He looks like he's from the Pacific or something. I think it's the nose. I don't really know how to describe it. But these guys look, the hats. Well, the guy, they got the hats on. This guy holding the Coca-Cola with the big mustache and the check jacket and the big nose, he looks like to me like he's from Tari. All the other guys with the male pattern baldness in the front, they look totally like Highlanders, and they look like they're in the Highlands. You can see they've got the pine trees, which is I think oak in English. Yeah. I don't want to get into too many regional stereotypes, but this is a very typical Highland scene. Yeah. Okay, so in the spirit of, this is too advanced a computer for me. In the spirit of talking a little bit about Papua New Guinea, I want to show you guys some videos now. Oh yes, I'm sorry if there's secrets. Yeah, there are some things. You guys, what was I going to say? We have, here in Hawaii, we speak Pidgin, right? There are people who speak Pidgin. All across the Pacific, there are different kinds of Pidgin. So this next song is in Papua New Guinea Pidgin. And I want you guys to listen to it to see if you can hear what this woman is saying, all right? If you speak a Hawaiian Pidgin, try Tok Pisin, which is the language of PNG. Okay. I gotta remember her name. Oh, it's there we go, Mariana Masai. So the title of this is Bosman, and she says, what is her line here? She says like, boss man, you boss too much, you boss lewa blow, which means you boss me too much and you're the boss of my heart. Yeah, I've often noticed music videos work better with sound. Oh, you both blow lewa, that's what it is. Yeah, I think we're not getting sound. Oh, there's a little.
Suppose you got to Amerista. Please, all in pass him na all in pass him guturu ya.